Alright, guys. Let's try this again. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Welcome again to another episode of Mission Start Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Bionis. And joining me is going to be none other than Rick Deets.
Hi.
Again.
Hi.
So, sorry for the hiccups earlier. Again, new hardware means some stuff on OBS that's kind of configured differently, and yeah, it's fixed now. For now, until it blows up.
Here, I'm gonna try something real quick. See if you can zoom in on my camera, because I don't want my room to be like shown that much.
Sure.
Turn on my camera for the audience.
Yay. Let's see.
How far?
You're fine. Let's see. I can see your bed, but
Can't see what's behind me.
no.
Okay.
If you stand still, or if you sit still, I cannot see anything.
Yeah, I
behind
don't
you.
plan on moving.
All right then.
Yeah, you can see my dishes behind me. Yeah.
I've seen worse. All right. So again, sorry for the delay and for the troubles, but like again, hardware stuff and all that jazz. All right. So with that being said, let's again start with some topics today. So we have to talk about awesome games done quick. Now, last week they were about done, and they just reached about $1 million by the time we streamed last weekend. As of today, and they ended last weekend, the grand total of how much they raised for this year's awesome games done quick is $1,216,034.02. So congrats! Congrats!
Awesome.
Yeah, congrats to the guys over there at Awesome Games Done Quick. This is the second time that it has reached over $1 million for their charity. And I donated to them several occasions. Not this past one, but the later ones. So yeah, good stuff, guys. Good stuff.
Yeah, congratulations to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic for the organization.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we need it too, especially what happened this past week. All right, so speaking of which, so we don't bring up outside topics on a normal basis, but because this ties into the game industry or a game in particular, I felt it was necessary. So, David Bowie, he died this past Monday. At 69. What
was it, Sunday? I think it was Sunday, because I remember being on Skype when it was announced.
I was
Sunday night. Well, I think also it could have been. You could say Monday, just because it was like I think 2:30 over in North Carolina.
Yeah. I was late. I was late up at night at just about to head to bed, and I saw a friend of mine tweeted out on Twitter. It's like David Bowie died. I was like, what? And I wasn't sure because people were saying that he was a host, so it wasn't real. And then eventually more news started coming out, and eventually his son tweeted out like, yes, he has passed.
Yeah, like everything you're hearing is true. I'm gonna be off social media for a while. It was like, go be with family, man.
Yeah. So yeah, David Bowie died. It was a huge shock, a huge loss. But what I didn't know is that he made a game. Like David Bowie.
Well, I wouldn't say he made a game.
Well,
he
okay,
helped with the soundtrack and acted in it.
Yeah. So.
And to be honest, not a very good game.
I know. The funny thing is, the game is going to be for free for download for the next month for anybody who wants to download it. You're looking at the trailer right now. It's a really old game.
It's an early Dreamcast game.
Yeah, the graphics do not hold up at all. Like, if I'm looking at the trailer, like, this game is all over the place.
Well, the game was a commercial failure. I love David Bowie to death. I think that I was incredibly somber and sad all fucking Monday. So what I'm about to say in no way reflects towards him. This game is shit.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Like, it's David Cage's first game. If you don't know who David Cage is,
that was his first game?
Yeah.
Holy
he
shit.
Did, he did Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy and Beyond Two Souls.
And he's making a new one right now, actually.
Yeah, called Detroit something or other.
Yes,
I don't
Detroit.
remember the subtitle to it, but David Cage doesn't make good games. His stories are ridiculous and don't make sense. They don't flow like a story should. They're bad. Generally speaking, David Cage games are bad. This is one of them. I cannot emphasize enough. Download it for free if you want to. But ultimately, just go listen to David Bowie's music. It's a much more...
Oh, yeah.
It's much more like remembrance sort of thing than playing this just god-awful game. Just god-awful game.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was gonna say, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't know David had a part in this game. But man, I just saw that trailer. Oof, oof.
Yeah, it's rough.
That's rough. That is rough. I will say though, like, I did go back and listen to some of his albums. What about that on that Monday or Tuesday? I was drawing. Decided to listen to David Bowie. The thing I noticed, and I know David Bowie, I have not like really been into what his work was, but some of the music that he did produce, I was like, oh, I recognize that song. But the one thing I noticed is that he changed his music style to every album that he did.
Yep.
And it also depicts at the time too. So I was kind of listening to like, oh man, it was Honky. What was the first album? I won't say Honky Tonk, but it can't be it. And then I listened to some other albums as well. The one in the 80s as well. Yeah, freaking nuts. So it's really good stuff. But anyways, rest in peace, David Bowie. But yeah, that game is awful. So, all right. So let's do that. Okay. So moving on to something that I feel like it's underappreciated is the Dice Awards. Dice Awards are pretty much like literally the Oscars of video game awards. It just doesn't get much airtime or much praise as other
as the one that has controversy behind it all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. So they just announced, or they kind of shown who's going to be.
Just as a heads up, if you hear any sort of yelling or anything, I just heard my neighbors yelling at each other again, so apologies for that in advance.
Yeah, I don't hear anything on my end, but for sure.
Okay.
So, what was I gonna say? So they released some of the nominees for some of the categories for this year's 19th annual Dice Awards. I'll quickly just say the Game of the Year because that's probably one of the biggest things that people are looking for first. So going for Game of the Year this year, here's the nominees: Bloodborne, Fallout 4,
Okay.
Ori and the Blind Forest,
Okay.
Rise of the Tomb Raider, and The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. Games we heard familiar from the last award show we talked about.
Yeah.
So
That was actually Ori and the Blind Forest was one of the games that I somehow completely forgot to mention from 2015 that I loved.
Yeah, I need to.
God, I can't believe I fucking forgot to mention that game.
I feel like I really want to play that game. Just on PC, it has issues. So like I can't even get into the start menu.
Oh Jesus!
I just gotta figure out and fix it. But yeah, I mean, Ori and the Blind Forest is a beautiful game. You know, Metroidvania, but then it's hard as shit. As I heard in some turns.
Oh my god! And either like the final boss levels are like just god damn it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I think that's part of the fun is you play a lot of it and you learn how to play it and you learn your strengths and weaknesses as the character. as Ori, and then you have to try to use all those to your advantage at the apex of a particular stage or a section.
Yep, definitely. So, you could probably check out the entire list. I'll put a link in the show notes, but let's see. It's not until, let me see the date for this actually. When is this happening? Now I'll just look it up. DICE Award Show, 19th Annual DICE Award Show. This is happening on the... Let's see, the nominees just came out, so... February 18th. Okay, so... Oh, not for another month. Okay. So yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes of this podcast to kind of show off, or not show off, but to kind of so you can see what the other nominees are for the other categories. All right. So going from the DICE Awards and all things good in the game industry, to everything that is not so good. So Nintendo. Now, when we usually bring up a Nintendo, it's often, some for good, some for bad. This week, we get the bad. Hang on a minute. There we go. Okay. So, this week, there's been some controversy, but on one side, though, I can understand Nintendo's thinking, I guess. But basically, Nintendo has been deleting levels on Mario Maker. From people's accounts without giving them any notice. And their reason for it is that if a level is not as popular, they will delete it. And what they're I'm seeing what they're trying to do is they're trying to have people just make better levels, because out of the handful of levels that are on Mario Maker, there's definitely a good some that are good. But then there's a good, others that are not good. Or it is good, but it's not as popular. So, they are starting to do this, and people are starting to think, well, maybe it was server issues, maybe they can't handle all these levels at the same time that are being made, as I thought they did. To me, I understand their thinking, but at the same time, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't have going this route, because not everything is grade A the minute you start making a level in Mario Maker. You may take some things from it and you're trying to make it a better one. I think that and the thing about Nintendo is they're not pretty clear into saying why exactly a game is being deleted.
To me, it makes sense. To me, it makes perfect sense. If you let's try to use an analogy that I can think of, because I'm really having a hard time thinking of one. Let's say, Anthony, you have a system set up to accept information from other people, right?
Okay.
And pause the game I'm playing so I can think. So you have a system set up to accept information from other people. Some of that information is really popular, whereas some isn't, right? But you notice that the basket in which all the information is coming into is getting full. That you didn't really think that there was going to be this much information going into the basket. And you probably should have gotten a bigger basket, but you have the basket you have, so you have to make a choice. You want to make sure that people are still happy, so you leave the information that they like, but you start to take out the information that maybe they're not really paying attention to. Maybe they're just kind of, it's got, one or two looks at it, and you're just kind of like, oh, people aren't really playing this, so we're just deleting it off our servers. You know that there's a copy, the person who put the information in there, that they have a copy of that same information, so you're not worried about deleting overall maps, you're just kind of making more space inside your basket.
Right.
Leaving the more popular things in there, but taking out the least popular, the lower popular things. But you're also going, well, there's new information always coming into the basket. So I'm not going to delete the newer stuff. I'm going to delete the old stuff that's not popular. That's what I'm going to do. So that way there's more space for the new stuff and the popular stuff.
Right. What I'm saying is, though, is like, I understand the reasoning for it. I mean, like, maybe, like, having a system set up to where, like, if your level is not popular enough because it's not a, a great level, I understand. If you have a level but it's not popular and it's a really good level, then it's like, it's at a point where, like, it feels like YouTube. Like, you have to go out there and advertise your level for people to keep that level you worked on. Bear in mind, some of these levels, people spend hours on to make a level really good, and some levels take them 5-10 minutes to make just because they want to screw around. There has to be more clarification on Nintendo's part. I feel like what exactly qualifies as a level that I mean, obviously that have stars, not many stars indicating that's not popular, but like, I don't know. I want Nintendo to kind of rethink about what they're doing, because again, like, Rome was not built in a day. Like, if I made a level of Mario Maker and it's not great, but I learned from it, that's cool, and I can move on to the next level. And when I go back to the old level to check out what I did wrong and what I can take from that, then that's great. But if it's not there, then it's like, what am I gonna go back to reference to? Like, because what I'm trying to do is make something original, not trying to copy anybody else when it comes to level design. So, for me, I think that I understand it, but at the same time, I feel like they should rework what they're trying to do with it. So, that's my spiel.
I don't know. I mean, the solution to this is adding more servers.
It's true. It's true. Add more fucking servers, Nintendo.
Yeah, like, put more memory into it. I mean, I know that sounds like a needless, like, hey, Ramen. I know it sounds like a needless, God, what do you call it? Like, usually when somebody doesn't understand something, they're just like, add more. Just put more into it. But in this situation, we're talking about people uploading things to servers. If they're taking things off of the servers, regardless of what they are, that clearly means that they just don't have enough space.
Yeah.
That clearly says to me that that's all it comes down to. They're not sitting there going like, your level's not good enough, so go fuck yourself. They're absolutely not doing that. That's not Nintendo's mantra. That's not their attitude. 100% Ramen. I mean, you look at their history. Like Ramen says, you look at their history.
True. That's very true. Because if you think about it, Nintendo has
They're a step behind every time.
Yes, they have been kicking and screaming, not wanting to come into the online business for the longest time. And then they finally, say, okay, we're gonna put online stuff on our consoles finally. And it took them till what? Nintendo Wii? Like,
yeah.
Technically GameCube had it, but
and it barely worked.
Yeah, like technically GameCube had it, but like they didn't really enforce it. But like when other systems start to integrate, online functionality, Xbox Live, PSN, like, and these things were getting really popular, and still is today. Nintendo, like, they are slow when it comes to catching up with the other two big companies. So, yeah, I mean, like, it's Nintendo. I mean, what else can I say? Normally I would say it's a wait and see type of thing right now, but what I'm waiting for is to see what the more bigger reaction from the gaming community, specifically the Mario Maker community, is gonna say when it comes to this issue. Because some have said they don't like this. Some said that they are in favor of it to maybe curate better levels. But then if you go on that route, then that means that, and the thing is though, is like it's like art. Like it's very what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say discreet, but that's not it. It's subjective. At this pace, if if they're carrying out bad levels, they're unpopular with only like 1 or 2 stars, but the quality is getting better every time, then what defines a good level to be kept on Nintendo servers if we're going this route?
Popularity. So the answer to that is popularity.
But even if it's not popular, if it's a good level, it's still a good level. So
yeah, sure. And I don't think that they're saying. I don't think for a second that they're saying that your level isn't good because it's unpopular. I think they're literally just trying to appease the group that will play it because it's there.
Yeah. I don't like it. We'll see how it goes. I just do not like the way Nintendo's going about it. So, but I understand it, but I don't like it. So, anyways, all right.
I'm playing guns, gore, and cannoli while I was talking.
So I feel like I need to get this a special shout out because freaking Adult Swim is hitting it out of the park when it comes to their games. So this past week, Rick and Morty, the mobile game, came out called Park at Morty's, and
yes,
it is. My friend of mine showed it to me the other day. It is pretty.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. It's pretty funny. It's really cool. Basically, it's just Pokemon, but with Rick and Morty, and all the Pokemon are Mortys, different versions of them. It's really cool. The game's really great. It's just straight up Pokemon, pretty much. But like,
yeah, it couldn't be more Pokemon if it tried.
yeah. It's really cool. I like it. Adult Swim, like their games, Adult Swim's games. And this is something that's new for them, but like their games are actually been really good. Like most of the games they've released in the past year or two since they started doing game development, has been really good. So this is just an example. I want to give it a special shout out. It's free. It's on iPhone. I think Android as well.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of it. I spent $10 on it.
Oh, you did? What was the money incentive for it?
So there's I don't know if you remember the episode, but there's a thing called blips and shits in an episode, and it's basically a like a extraterrestrial Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
or Dave and Buster's probably would be a better analogy. And but it's Blitz and Shits, and throughout the game you can find Blitz and Shits like dispensers everywhere.
Right.
And you can use if you have a Blitz and Shits coupon, you can then use the machine. The way to get the coupon is randomly through beating just other Morty trainers, or beating one of the head members of the Council of Rick. Or Council of Ricks. And what this usually gives you is a bunch of stuff that's really useful, and a Morty based on your like overall level of all your Mortys. When I spent technically $8, because $4 will get you 5 tickets, and I was popping them in so that way I could try to get different Mortys, new Mortys, and now I have a solid team. But my Prime Morty, the Morty that I came with, is now level 19, almost 20, and I'm just fucking walking through the game.
Damn. That's... Wow.
Like, it's a leisurely stroll at this point.
Awesome. So yeah, Rick and Morty out now.
Which I technically could be playing that right now, but...
definitely Rick and Morty out right now. Definitely check it out, guys, if you get the chance. Ramen says, "You have a problem, Greg."
Yeah, well. I have lots of problems. Well, here's the thing. I'm giving my money to something that I like.
Yeah, that's true. Like, there's definitely, like, when it comes to games, if they're free to play, but they have a microtransaction incentive, if I like that game, I will put money towards it. Example, Hearthstone. But then again, you kind of need to put money in it to win. But, Hearthstone's a really good game. I love it. I played Magic the Gathering for a very long time. Still do every once in a while. And, I enjoy Hearthstone a lot, and it's been a hit Souls vibe, so it's like, I'll put money for some new packs, for a new expansion and whatnot, so, I'm definitely down for that, for sure. You're not required to pay money, but you can if you want to. And it supports the company too. Alright, so let's see, where do I want to go to next? I'm gonna make that the last thing actually. So our next topic. So let me take you back in time to 1997, I want to say? 99? Anyways, the reason I bring this up is because
oh shit!
the Half-Life 1 game just released. There were some great mods that came out during that time. You know, there was Opposing Force. There was Blue Shift. It was a story about Barney. There was, let's see, I mean, there was Ricochet, but that's a different thing. But basically what I'm saying, like, there was some co-op, there we go. There was basically a mod of games for the Half-Life 1 series that it kind of was side stories to the main story. And they were really good and well written, and it was great. So, recently, there has been 2 Half-Life mods that are, one is a comeback, and one is a new mod that is the same vein as those mods back then. So the first one you guys see it on screen is Prospect, which is a Half-Life mod that is a side story to the events of Half-Life 2. And then the other game that is being developed, also being modded for Half-Life 2, is that they're back 7 co-op. And 7 co-op was one of the most popular mod games for a very, very long time. I think it's still being played today. I watched my brother play it. It's basically like a team-based game. Think of like team-based MMO first-person shooter game. Like think of WoW, but with like guns, and you're killing off these huge monsters. It's really cool. Like I'm really enjoying the fact that after I was surprised, like freaking like we had mods for Half-Life 2 before, but we never had like these type of mods in a very, very long time. I mean, you can argue to say that Black Mesa, like the remake, was a mod, but it wasn't like an original story to the Half-Life 2 series. So seeing the fact that they're bringing back some of these mods as well as making new ones after all these years is really cool to see. Also, you know, for people who are like something to kind of bite on, just like for anything Half-Life, because like, hey,
right,
yeah, because of Valve, we're not making Half-Life 3. But like, yeah, like it's just really cool to see. It's really, really awesome. So, yeah, so that took me back when I saw that this week. I was like, yes, finally. So I'll probably pick up Prospect for sure. It's for me for free, both mods, I believe so. So unless Valve changes their policy like they did last time with Skyrim for a little bit. All right, now we bringing you to the last topic of the day. I should say like more like of the what's the word I'm looking for?
Dude, this game just screamed difficulty that I'm playing right now.
What are you playing?
Holy shit! It's Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. It's I don't know, if you don't know what it is, it's really hard to explain. So it's just a zombie shooter that you move left and right in. It's a side scroller, but it's a lot of fun. It just got stupid fucking hard suddenly.
I see.
I was like, oh, I can't fight anything. Everything's in my way.
So last topic of the day, and this is the big one too.
This is the last topic?
Yeah, there's been
a short episode.
Yeah, there's been some news. Also because I need to go fix my computer too. I don't understand why it's kind of messing up on me on this. So it happened. And when I mean it happened, I mean like finally Esports is on the ESPN. ESPN this week announced that they are now covering esports, which includes some of the fighting game community majors, Dota 2, League of Legends, StarCraft, as well as Smash tournaments as well. And they have an entire page set up, and they set up basically a dedication to esports, and it finally launched on their site. Yeah, it has begun, and so what this means is that the pipe dream of having video games being aired on ESPN, like on ESPN like channel, not ESPN 3 or Ultra, like it actually is freaking cool. Like that this happened. It's really awesome. I think that is a big step for video game as a whole, for esports, for any genre. Funny enough, I kept saying like we don't need the ESPN or TV to validate, esports. I think what Twitch has and what we have online is more than enough to do what we do. But now that ESPN has jumped on the bandwagon, now that they want a piece of the esports pie, now what you're going to have is that you're going to have coverage of esports on ESPN. I mean, right now it's on the website, but like I'm pretty sure on TV it will come soon. Being shown to the mainstream, being shown to the kind of the sports fans and or the normies, as I like to call them, and introduced to what competitive gaming looks like. And obviously there's going to be huge blowback from everybody saying like, why is this on TV? Why is video games a sport? It's not a sport. Look at these nerds, which is the jock mentality. But it's a big step for everything gaming competitively moving forward. And now that we have on ESPN, and not to mention also like TNT has their own show for Counter-Strike Go. So like the word of esports is spreading. It is becoming more. It's becoming more and more mainstream as time goes on. And
I'm gonna play a little bit of a role here, and I want you to, like we've done in the past.
Okay.
I want you to defend it. Okay.
Okay. All right.
These are not my opinions, but I imagine someone has these opinions. So Here we go.
All right.
Why do you need ESPN?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't need ESPN. I said before, we don't need them to validate how big esports is. What ESPN brings to the table is that that TV audience, that casual audience, a sports fan audience is what it brings in, and they're tapping into that esports scene to showcase like, this is how competitive games are, and this is how they look like. We don't need the ESPN, as I said. We don't really need it. Twitch and other websites online do a fine job of doing it without them, and they get bigger numbers than ESPN did, especially for Hard to Swarm. So it's an added bonus. Is what I'm trying to say. It's like we don't need them, but if they want to cover it, that's cool. It's an added bonus.
So it's interesting to me that you say it's an added bonus, because, and I imagine someone is arguing this. This is actually a bad sign for esports, meaning that esports has become so popular that ESPN is going to try to steal away those views from other sources, such as Twitch and the ones who kind of supported it from the beginning. The question to you, somebody who pays attention to esports as closely as you do, would you say that you are slightly worried that ESPN is going to take away those viewers, or bring it into a different light that allows for them to do more with esports than what could have possibly been done just because of money and exposure?
So, and I have an answer for this. So ESPN is covering esports. Doesn't mean that they have a deal in place to only broadcast, say, EVO, or only broadcast, say, like the International for Dota 2. Right now, they're just covering it. They're just, they're covering the events. They may end up, showcasing on their channel. Very much the same vein as how, like, say, on different channels, like on CBS, Fox, NBC, they will air football games, and then they're called differently. ESPN has Monday Night Football, the NFL Network has Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football for NBC. So like they have like am I afraid that ESPN is going to eventually take away all this viewership from online to to the mainstream or to the more of the general crowd. I'm not afraid because at the end of the day, they're just covering the event, and Twitch is still going to stream it. Twitch is still going to be the ones out there streaming it to a more mass market for, I would say, my generation of people, the millennials, in terms of watching on demand. Excuse me. On demand events rather than watching on TV. On ESPN. Now, what and Robin brought up a good point. I also want to bring up why I think ESPN is also a good thing for esports. Is the fact that because of the more viewership that they're bringing with, they're also bringing in more opportunity for more sponsorship, means more money to these esports events, which means that.
Okay, so before you continue,
okay,
and because we've discussed this before.
Okay.
We have absolutely discussed this before. I don't know why I'm leaning towards my computer talking to the chat as if the camera is coming from that direction. Any kind of new exposure, any kind of furthering into the esports world and into this category is going to be good for not only people fans of esports, but competitors. This is a way to grow the brand. It is a way to grow everything around it, especially if that's what you're really into. And it is here to stay. It is very popular right now.
Yes.
So I'm not against it. I was asking those questions simply because I wanted to see, because you're way more into it than I am, what's your input on it?
Right.
From that particular argument. But something I'm going to take from over here and bring into the esports community, or into the esports conversation. Tithinian on YouTube, who does a lot of animations for Game Grumps and of Game Grumps and for Blame Society. They do beer and board games.
Yep.
He brought up a topic that I didn't know because I don't listen to Fat Man on Batman, which is a Kevin Smith podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We live in the golden age of fan service. Now, what I mean by this is, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
The golden age of fan service is a time when developers of things play it safe by catering to people like us.
Mm-hmm.
People who want to see a classic Bebop and Rocksteady.
Mm-hmm.
People who want to have, specific villains in their movies. I mean, there's a reason that the movie Creed exists.
Yes.
Did you know that movie's script was not written with Rocky Balboa or any of those characters in mind?
I've heard, yes. That was...
Yeah, it was all added in later because they wanted fan service. This, again, not a bad thing. So the reason I bring up the golden age of fan service is I feel like ESPN is going to try to bank in on this. It is going to try to make money off of the golden age of fan service. And the worry that I see is that ESPN is going to take money away from the esports communities. Whether it be MLG, EVO, whatever group it is, I feel that they are going to try to take away from that. Now, as it stands right now, they're not. They're absolutely not taking away from that. As it stands right now, they are just showing esports on ESPN. I don't know what they have scheduled. I don't know what they have planned to show. But ESPN is a juggernaut when it comes to sports, information, entertainment, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
They are on every single fucking electronic device you can find.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. There was a study done that showed how many people play fantasy football or just fantasy sports in general. ESPN has the majority. So my worry, I would be worried if I were you. They are going to try to create their own esports. That esports is not necessarily licensed group like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL is.
Mm-hmm.
They will try to create their own and make as much profit as they possibly can from it. I see this.
The
only way that they won't, the only way that they can't, is if people like you, people like me, refuse to watch it. This will come down to the same situation of like Vince McMahon creating the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
No one liked it, so no one watched it.
I did.
Well, I did too, but it didn't get watched very much because clearly it's gone.
Yeah.
They are going to test the waters right now and see if that their audience on cable TV will stick around and watch people play video games competitively. They're going to test the waters right now.
Yeah.
If the waters are good, if the waters are bringing in cash based on advertisements like commercials and shit, they are absolutely going to try to start their own.
So
again, because it's not a sanctioned licensed thing. Like, yes, when you go to Evo, you have to fill out information, you have to like put all this stuff in, but look at UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare UFC and Evo fighters together.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys have different contracts with UFC. They are not, absolutely are not like by themselves in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
However, with Evo, they are.
Yeah.
Those guys come in by themselves. They don't have an agent. They don't have a trainer. They might, but it doesn't matter to Evo's standards.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I feel that ESPN is going to try to do that. If this works out for them.
I see. Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. So for that, my response would be that I feel like eventually we'll come to that. I feel like eventually, like even without ESPN, I feel like we already have like teams, and not just fighting games, like in specifically like in Dota and League of Legends, StarCraft, more of the kind of RTS mobile games. You have like managers. You have managers, and you have these guys who are maintaining these teams in Dota 2, League of Legends, and StarCraft 2, and other RTS mobile games that have contracts. They do have contracts with these teams and with these companies, and these guys are sponsored. So I don't think it's too far-fetched to see that.
I'm not against sponsorships, but ESPN to me is no different than Activision. You know, their bottom line is that dollar, and whatever can get them that dollar is what's most important. So if fucking over other people to get that dollar happens, then it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that happen.
I think the one thing about it is like there isn't stability in teams in esports right now, or not as many. Like I can point out like EG is like one of the most stable teams out there, and they have a huge division of fighting games. They have a team for Dota 2, League of Legends. They're pretty damn stable, and they're doing pretty well. There isn't that many teams like them that are out there that are stable enough to keep it going, and that's one of the hard things about esports. Is like it doesn't make that much money. It makes money for a lot of people, but not for if you say you want to make a career out of it. What ESPN introduces is that opportunity for players like them to make a career out of it. And would that be the cost of, say, like if you need to enter in this tournament, you need you need to earn your way through the ranks. You need to have somebody. What was it like I'm totally blanking out on the name. You have to have an agent to be in this, or do you need to have sponsor in order to enter in this tournament, then yeah, there's going to be some events that ESPN or whoever is hosting it is going to have that. But
sure, but I don't see a problem with that per se.
I don't see it either.
That's if it's an ESPN hosted event, then yeah, ESPN has every right to say what the rules are.
Yeah.
But what I don't want to see is ESPN fuck over anybody based simply on them trying to make a buck. Now, I'm not against a company making a buck. I'm not against ESPN. Like I said, I think it's great that esports is now going to be on ESPN. It gives exposure to the esports community. It does a lot of good. But at the end of the day, ESPN's looking at that dollar amount. And
but can you?
I'll give you an example. I'll give an example of ESPN like fucking over somebody or fucking over people.
Okay.
Do you remember when poker was becoming a real popular thing?
Yeah.
NBC was hosting like these big poker tournaments, and people were sitting around their couches just like, he's got a jack and an ace. Like he's just got to sit there, and it's amazing. And then somebody else had a king and an ace. Like you see them kind of battle it out. Is he gonna fold because he's bluffing? Like blah blah blah. It was fun, but it died quick. I don't want to see that happen to esports.
Well, the thing is, here's the beauty of esports, is that it doesn't die when ESPN says it's no longer going to carry it. Because the entire time, esports has been online. It's been on Twitch.
That's true. That you're absolutely correct. I mean, I guess I kind of lost the point that I was getting at a second ago. Let me kind of back up and retread my steps. When the poker stuff started becoming less popular, what did ESPN do with poker at that point? They put it on in the middle of the day when people are at work. They put it on at night when people are sleeping. People aren't watching ESPN at that time, so they didn't care. If a contract with ESPN through esports groups says, we'll play this event and this amount of money, blah, 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 they can absolutely change the contract and say, well, it's not getting this amount of views, so we're not going to pay you this much, and we're going to put shitty ads over it late at night. That hurts the community. No matter how you want to look at it, that hurts the community. It doesn't kill it by any measure, but it's not good.
I would argue that the esports scene is already doing that. They're already putting commercials in their streams. Just like yesterday, I was watching Genesis 3, which is happening all weekend this weekend. It's one of the biggest Smash tournaments, international Smash tournaments happening in California. And in between matches, they would have ads play. In between matches, because they're sponsored by Nintendo, so they'll have trailers for upcoming games. They have pictures of what to check out beadworks. So I'd say we already have that. Like at Evo last year, in between when we had a break, we had advertisements for Madcats. We had movie trailers for some movies, even though there were only 2 of them. They were showing over and over again.
But that's kind of the point I'm getting at, is that is absolutely a thing. I mean, shit, they were showing advertisements during AGDQ.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting at is if, let's say the contract with ESPN says that EVO, the group itself, which they need to make money based, their primary source of income at the fucking Las Vegas Convention Center, is your ticket that you bought to get in. That's their primary source of income.
Oh, are you?
But they could always use more money. They could always use more money to help with.
I was gonna say, are you saying that? Are you afraid that ESPN will become an exclusive to these events, and that the only way you can watch that event is on ESPN?
No. What I'm saying is that, let's say Evo, right?
Okay.
This next upcoming Evo, it airs on ESPN, okay?
Okay.
And it gets enough viewers to where the following Evo, 2017, has some amazing sponsors, right? Some amazing commercials show up during the show. I'm talking about Super Bowl level, right?
Okay.
And then the following year, 2018, only half of the people show up to watch Evo on ESPN. And ESPN goes, oh no, this isn't good. And then the following year, it's even more. It's even less. And the following year, it's even less.
Okay.
Because people are watching these events on Twitch. They're watching these events on the internet. Not that people aren't watching it, because the same amount of people are watching it every year, or more. It's that less and less people are watching it on ESPN. So ESPN goes, well, if they're not making the money that they were before, then we're going to make the sponsors less. We're not going to air commercials that cost a whole lot of money, and that hurts Evo.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Will it hurt Evo ultimately? It's hard to say, but that does ultimately hurt Evo. I don't want to see that, but I kind of see it happening. We live in an age where most people I know don't even have cable TV or satellite anymore.
It's true. It's true. TV is dying. Like it is literally like people are starting becoming less and less wanting to go on TV and wanting to go online because everything's on demand online, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. So all information is faster online.
Yeah.
Versus
I would just hope.
TV.
I mean, we already know that the generation, like my dad's generation and I don't know, certain ages, they aren't going to care about this. I mean, we already heard some stuff that was being said before, ESPN agreed to do this. There was that one caster that was like, video games aren't athletic, blah, 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 blah. So we know that the support isn't 100% there by the people who are already working for ESPN. Which leads me to believe that ESPN, this is a cash grab for them.
Yeah.
Not against the idea of doing a cash grab. If someone came up to me and was like, hey, Greg, we want you to do the Truffle Shuffle for 20 hours for $2 million, I'll be like, done. Where do I take my shirt off? I just don't want to see this cash grab hurt this community. That's my biggest concern. I want to see it grow. I want to see it prosper. I want to see it become something more than what it is today. And today, it's huge. I realize I sounded a little like Donald Trump there. So, my overall concern is positive, but I know it comes off as negative.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to keep beating around the same bush. I don't want to keep saying the same thing. I just want a situation where it's as popular on ESPN because of this deal as it is on the internet. I want more and more people to be watching it, and more people to be like, oh, I get it. I get why it's popular. I get why people like it, and I'm going to watch it now. And I want that to happen through ESPN. I want in, 3 to 4 years from now, we are the next fucking Evo event or the next... I keep using Evo as an example because I can't think of any others that have a name like Evo.
Right. Because Evo is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world.
Right.
And I get
but there's
that.
another one that happens all the time too, and I remember watching it last year, and I don't remember what it is though.
The international? The League of Legends big thing they
It definitely was not. It was not a MOBA. It was something else. I do not remember what it
Halo?
is. Anyway. No, I don't think it was Halo. Might have been Halo. I don't know. Anyway. I would just love to see it become, in an extent, like, as popular as on the internet as it is on ESPN, just to help the community.
Right.
I don't want to see them have a fucking broken leg and have to drag it through the mud.
Excuse me.
The Gesundheit.
Thank you. I definitely see what you're saying. There's definitely a tug and pull when it comes to this, because on one side, like, yes, we want ESPN, yes, we want to have more of these sponsors to help with funding more of these events and putting more money to legitimize, like, make this a potential career. but at the same time, you don't want to take the soul away from what esports events are. But the irony in all this is, I feel like if you watch some esports events, there are definitely modeling after ESPN. We have commentators who are like dressed up very nicely. You have these tables that they sit in and they talk about analysis. They have like a play-by-play of like what the in-game is happening. So in all intents and purposes, esports is trying to be like ESPN. And the minute that ESPN joins the fray, the irony comes in full circle. Will it take away the soul of what esports is? I don't think it will. I think that esports will
no, absolutely no.
But I think, but if they try to, in a sense, screw what esports is, like, it's all going to depend on these communities. Like, it's all going to depend on if Riot says, we're going to give ESPN the rights to only air League of Legends matches on ESPN for this amount of money for how many or so years. Or they can say, you know what, ESPN thinks, but no things, you can cover the event. You can, talk about it on the shows. But if you want to watch, the grand tournament for League of Legends, you have to watch it on Twitch and online. Because they are making, so much money. They don't need ESPN to kind of come in and save the day. So it's going to depend on a lot of things. It's going to depend on these companies.
I think that's another concern, is that we've clearly established that these groups don't need ESPN. They absolutely do not. They can make enough money on their own just doing it on the internet.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're partnering with ESPN to do something is concerning enough. Like, do they think that they don't have the pool? Are they just looking to extend the brand? Like, there's just so many factors that go into it because it's as big of a company as ESPN that I'm like, watch your asses, guys. Watch them real hard.
I get what you're saying. Like, I think right now we're kind of wondering what the true intentions of ESPN right now is. Right now they're just covering the events. We don't know if they're going to eventually, air matches or
well, there's a money deal there regardless, because they're not just covering the events. Like, ESPN gets a chunk of change every time a Monday Night Football game happens.
That's true. It's very true.
And and the NFL gets part of that as well. Like, that's always how the contracts work. So if we could see a contract, that'd be great. That would clear up a lot of, like, what are they actually doing? Yeah,
I think it's a lot of questions right now. I think everybody's very excited that ESPN is joining in with esports, but it brings up the question of, what is their intention? Are they just there to be there? Are they there to cover the event? Or maybe they will want to make a contract with some of the events. So we don't know exactly what the intention of ESPN is right now, but in due time, we'll definitely find out. So, very, very interesting topic. I think one way or another we'll find out at the end of eventually we'll find out, who's going to be sitting on top and, and what's going to happen. But it's interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. Managed to stretch that topic up until an hour, which is great, actually. Hitting that.
I did that intentionally. I don't know if you noticed what I was doing, but I wanted to go different routes with the conversation, and I gave actual opinions of how I feel about it. But yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is the last one. We've only been going for like 20 minutes.
Yes. So we met that hour quota for our podcast. So
you're welcome, Anthony.
So before we go, Greg, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ChubRockGeek. You can find me on Snapchat at ChubRockSnap.
That's great.
What? Oh, the ChubRockSnap?
Yeah.
Well, I also created that account before I had ChubRockGeek in mind.
Gotcha.
I don't tell many people the story just because it's not very glamorous. It's kind of funny, but when Halo 1 was out, I was at my buddy's house. We were all doing a LAN party sort of thing, and I could never come up with a proper username to use on the Xbox. And my buddy came home from work, and he worked at a vet clinic, or came to the house after whatever. And he was like, someone came in with a bulldog with the name Chubrock. And it was like, and for some reason at that time I was like, that's hilarious. and so I just used it on Halo, and I stuck with it, like just Chubrock on everything. And when I made it a Twitter account, it was just at Chubrock, until I started getting a lot of messages that were, "I love your music, you're so awesome, I listen to your music all the time," and I'm like, who the fuck is this? So I looked up, and apparently there's a rapper in the late 80s, early 90s named Chubrock, Chubrock.
Nice.
And I went, that's not me. I gotta do something to change it. So I added the geek on the end because I couldn't think anything for Twitter. I was like, Chubrock tweet? And then I realized that Chubrock Geek actually works as a really nice name. It's 3 syllables. It kind of rolls off the tongue. It's not hard to say. So I just started trying to change everything over to Chubrock Geek. I even changed my gamer tag to Chubrock Geek.
Nice.
So if you want to follow me on Xbox, I won't friend you back, but you follow me on Xbox, unless I know you. If I know you, then I'll friend you, but don't count on it.
Right.
But you can follow my achievements, and when I go live, when I stream, you can follow me that way and know when I'm going live. Like to tell you when I'm going live. This tonight from 5 to whenever the fuck I decide to stop, I'm going to be playing some Mega Man 4 practice. I'll get into why it's practice in a second. Followed with some Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 multiplayer beta. And then whenever Slappy Meats gets on, who streams on Sundays, on Skype, we'll switch over to Quiplash. So it should be a fun time the whole night. The reason it's Mega Man 4 practice, and this is something that I kind of wanted to touch on anyway. In February is MagFest, 18th to the 21st. If you don't know what MagFest is, it is a festival, if you will. It's turned into a con. It's more of a con than it's not. Of celebration of games and music-like games. Why are you typing that in the chat?
I don't want to interrupt your spiel.
Oh. At this particular convention, at MagFest, the guys that I stream for, Half Empty Energy Tank, which, if Anthony would be so kind to put that Twitch account in the chat,
Sure.
which is where I stream most of the time, they host an event called the Mega Manathon, where we stream Mega Man games for 72 hours for Child's Play charity. They are flying me to North Carolina, stay with them, and then of course we'll take a driving trip over to National Harbor, Maryland, which is where MagFest is held. I don't know what day or when I'll be playing Mega Man 4 yet, but when I do, I will let people know as soon as I can. But I will be live on that, playing Mega Man 4 at some point. But I have my rundown under an hour.
Yep, definitely. Here you go.
It's tough. Like, I know the pattern. I know. Well, I wasn't saying MagFest. I was saying the Half Empty Twitch
oops,
account.
my bad.
Not that there's. I mean, we got Rolando watching, which thank you, but yeah. Just follow Half Empty Energy Tank on Twitch, on the social medias. Learn more about it there. But yeah, so that's why I'm doing Mega Man 4 practice tonight. The other thing I wanted to touch on before I throw it back. You are the worst at that right now. The other thing I want to touch on before I move it over to Anthony to do the ending spiel that ends the show. So the idea that I have, instead of writing reviews anymore, because writing the reviews has become something I'm not exactly excited about to do. But I don't want to not do reviews. So I'm going to start recording, how do I say this? Improvisational recordings. Kind of like this, but like 5 minutes of what I think of a game. 5 to 6 minutes, and then handing that audio over to Anthony, which Anthony will then overlay footage of whatever game I'm reviewing. The reason I'm doing this primarily is because typing on this laptop is a pain in the ass, and this computer is basically done. So writing is actually a lot more difficult than I'd like it to be. But I don't want to stop doing stuff that I enjoy doing, which is reviewing things or talking about things. So one of the next things I'm going to do is I'm going to do a review of Pocket Mortys. It'll be a spoken review, and I will be reading my script that I wrote for why Halo 5 is the worst game in the worst game in the first-person shooter franchise.
Cool. Awesome.
So, that's my spiel. That's all I got. That was long. I know it was way too long than it should have been, but I did it! I got it out of my mouth!
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Naruto, as you can see on screen. Also, let me bring up the end of the show. Oops, hang on. Let me fix that overlay. Properties. Oh man. There we go. Okay. So, if you enjoyed this podcast, either if you're listening to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or you're watching us on YouTube, or watching the Twitch pod, please check out the full podcast on our website at missionstartpodcast.com in the podcast section under Mission Start Podcast. Also, you can, again, subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher to listen and update it every week on your gaming news of the week. Also, if you enjoyed convention talk, if you enjoyed us talking about our experiences at previous conventions we went to, our thoughts on what we think was a good and bad convention, check out the Conover. That is a convention podcast that goes up every time we attend that convention, and the new year just started, so we got tons of conventions already on the back burner. We plan to attend and cover this year, so definitely keep an eye out. And you can also subscribe to on iTunes and Stitcher. And lastly but not least, if you enjoy entertainment, comic books, movies, show business, everything in between, a bit of anime and video games too, check out the Rolling 20s hosted by Jeremy Wilson on our website at missionstartpodcast.com in the podcast section, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. You can check out those all three right now on podcast. Also, if you're listening to this, and I probably should make this more apparent, I am relaunching our Patreon. I might make a new video for it, but I may not keep it the same. But anyways, definitely check it out. It's patreon.com/missionstartpodcast. Definitely go there. Give us a few bucks. There's definitely some tier awards you can check out and you can be awarded. And yeah, definitely check it out when you have a chance, or spread the word. You don't even have to put in the money. You just spread the word and tell people as well to check it out. Anyways, with that, I'm going to go and take a shower. I'm going to work out. I'm going to watch my Packers hopefully win today. We got out of the screen. Yeah, there we go, right behind me.
Who are they going against?
Arizona. Let's
go, Cardinals. Clap, 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 clap.
So with that said, we will see you guys next week. And yeah, here's to the green.